Howdy class, this is Dr. Diaz to talk to you about how modules 5, 6, and 7, the work you have done and the concepts you have learned, how they are real and evident every day in life. I provide these videos because it's important that you know that the material you're learning is tangible, real, and used every single day. I use it in my profession as a research analyst, educator, and consultant, and I'm going to talk to you about modules 5, 6, and 7. We've had a video covering modules 1 through 4. This will cover 5 through 7, and I will have a third video talking on the material from 8 through 10. So let's get started. I've got my material here, and I just informally would like to talk to you about what you've learned so far from 5 through 7. In Module 5, you got to learn about mediators and moderators. These variables are excellent, they're fun. I know a lot of us had a fun time grasping the concept and going back and forth on them because they are pretty hairy. They can sound the same. Why can't a variable be a moderator? Why can't it be a mediator? Why couldn't it be both, right? So it's best to understand how these definitions are applied to these variables and how it really happens in everyday life. So in Module 5, you had to distinguish between a mediator and a moderator. I do this as well in my work, and a study that I'm currently on has it has about 25 variables in the study, measurable variables, 25 of them. Okay, we have one dependent variable and 25 independent variables. Now, all of those variables put together in a linear regression produces an outcome. And sometimes the results are skewed, and we have to check to see what is explaining or driving the coefficients and the standard errors. This is a multiple linear regression. So for us, what we do is we run influence diagnostics, which is even more statistical work on top of your regression. And we pull out the outliers and we see, does it account for any influence based on the weight that is assigned to it. I'm sorry if I'm going to start talking gibberish and I'm going to go past you on statistics, but it's something I do. And in the process of doing this, we like to look at the variables that are influencing the relationship, and as well as looking at the variables that are causing the relationship. And if you were to put one in or take it out, what happens with that level of significance, or what is explaining all of the variance, or more so, what's eating up the variance? Because remember, you got a dependent variable and you have all these independent variables. Now, one of these guys may be eating up all the variance, accounting for it, and we may possibly not want that. Okay. So I use moderators and mediators all the time, and it's almost like a bloodhound job for me to sniff out these concepts to make sure my analyses are clean, accurate, and can easily be documented and described and explain every single variable and the outcome they provide. All right, so that's 5. Let's look at 6. Okay, in Module 6, you got to talk about factorial ANOVA analysis. And you got to look at charts, graphs, and tables. So looking at this, when I hear factorial or a one-way ANOVA, the first thing I think of is this is a statistical analysis approach that can be done, but it has to be done when you're needing it to be done. Because the thing about research is you got to think of stats analyses as different tools in a toolbox. Some jobs call for a screwdriver, some jobs call for a wrench, sometimes you need a saw. Well, we can't use one tool for every job, and the same applies for stats analyses. When you have a new challenge in front of you, you have to determine which tool do I need for this job, aka which type of stats analyses do I need for this research question. Okay, so looking at this, I've used ANOVAs in my work, and basically it's been done when I have to answer an assessment question, when it has to do with grades, students, class sizes, and outcomes. And the outcomes are usually related to GPA, okay? So in the independent ANOVAs, for the factorial ANOVA, sometimes I have multiple groups, I have multiple tests, I have multiple GPAs in multiple given semesters. Okay, so sometimes I need to compare 3 different groups, sometimes I have to compare more. And the nice thing about an ANOVA is it's different than a t-test, because in a t-test you can conduct an analysis on 2 groups, Group A and Group B. But what if you have Group C? What then? Well, that's when you get into an ANOVA, because it allows for multiple groups. It also allows for multiple independent variables. So really, if your research is calling for more than 2 groups and you have multiple independent variables, an ANOVA is a good way to go. Alright, Module 7. This is fresh. This is fun. And I like it. It's the repeated measures analysis. I just got done talking to you guys about your Module 7 outcomes. And in this situation, I've used this for looking at within subjects when it comes to attrition rates. I'll give you an example. First of all, repeated measures looks at the differences in one group. Between subjects, such as a t-test, independent t-test, or ANOVA looks at comparisons between subjects or between groups, meaning Group A compared to Group B compared to Group C compared to Group D, and so on. However, the repeated measures looks at Group 1 only, Group A only, and looks at them at different times, maybe a pre-post time or at different times of measurement. The example I'm going to give you for repeated measures that I use in my job is different majors, undergraduate majors housed in different schools within the colleges at the university. Take, for instance, the undergrad major of biology, that's within the Department of Science, which is housed in the College of Humanities and Sciences. They may send me a request and say, we want to know the attrition rate for biology majors across 4 years between the sophomore to junior year, and tell us whether there's a difference in the rise or drop of attrition. Do they stay enrolled or do they drop out? That's what we refer to as attrition. So I have only one group. And is that difference of dropout significant? This is when I'm going to use a repeated measures. And I'm going to look at one group only, and I'm going to look at them from different times and say, here's the difference from their junior year. Here's the difference from their sophomore year to the junior year. And notice the numbers, how they drop. Let's say they drop out. They don't make it to their junior year. And then I'm asked, well, is the dropout rate significant? Because what if only one person drops out of 1,000? That's not significant. What if 100 people drop out of 110? That's highly significant. So they want to know, is this something I should be worried about? Please tell me. I'm going to use repeated measures analysis. And I'll tell them the difference between this one sample population from sophomore to junior, as the numbers drop, it is found to be significant or it isn't. That's a great example for this type. So this is modules 5, 6, and 7 and how it relates to everyday life and how I use it in my job. You'll see one at the end of our semester, our time together. I'll put out a video that talks about 8 through 10. Alright, so have a fun time getting back to work, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.